in relation to July 23rd of 2013?
We had returned from a family vacation about a week before.
Ms. Lord, I want you to take a look at this photograph I'm placing before you. And do you recognize who's in that photograph, ma'am?
Yes, that's Amy.
Okay. And that photograph that you have before you, is that a fair and accurate representation of how she looked in the time frame July of 2013?
Yes, that was taken just about a month, maybe or so before.
May this be marked as the next numbered exhibit, Your Honor?
Yes.
Exhibit 36, so marked, Your Honor.
With court permission, Your Honor, may this be published to the jury?
Yes.
Did she own a car back then, Miss Lord?
She did. She owned a Jeep Cherokee,
And what color was it?
black.
Do you know where that vehicle was purchased?
It was purchased locally in Western Mass. My husband actually found it for her, and we arranged to get it for her.
Okay. And what was the condition of the Jeep generally when it was purchased?
It was in good condition. It was fine.
Did you help her with the financing along with your husband?
We did. We were kind of the bank, so we paid for the car up front, and she was paying us back monthly on the loan.
Do you have any personal knowledge of the vehicle itself, whether it was in need of any type of repairs?
No, it was fine. It had a window that was broken a little bit, I think, the back.
Okay, and when you say the back window was broken a little bit, meaning going up and down?
Yeah, it was the back passengers, driver's side, the back window, it was like stuck down, just like a few inches. It was kind of stuck there.
After the car was purchased, did you ever see it?
Yes.
Were there, to your knowledge, any unique markings or stickers on the car?
Yes, Amy had a memorial sticker on the back windshield.
And the memorial sticker that was on the back windshield, could you describe that in a little bit more detail for the jury?
Sure. It was a round green and white sticker, and it had a shamrock in the center with the number 13 and CJB written on it.
And what did the initial CJB stand for?
Christopher J. Burnham. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Go ahead.
Who was Christopher J. Burnham?
He was a childhood friend of Amy's who passed away in 2008.
Okay. And what did the number 13 signify on the sticker?
He played baseball, and he was playing baseball at college, and his number had always been 13 from when he was little all the way through college.
And was there one of those tournaments back in 2013?
Yes, they held a annual softball tournament. They have a scholarship in his name, so every June his parents have a scholarship tournament to raise money. So there was one held the last weekend in June 2013.
I'm putting on the monitor what's been marked exhibit number 15 in this case, Ms. Floyd. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
And that tournament that was held in June of 2013, did they give out stickers that year?
Yes, they give them out regularly. They're available, but Amy had gotten some extra ones because she now had her own car.
Okay. And do you recognize what's in the middle of exhibit number 15, that shamrock with the initials CJB and the number 13?
Yes, that's the sticker.
Okay. Was that the sticker that was given out in June of 2013?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as that particular sticker, was there one affixed to her car?
Yes. I helped her put it on that weekend on the back left bottom corner of her car window.
And when you say I helped her put it on, when did that take place?
That same weekend. So that weekend that she got the sticker from the tournament before she left to come back to Boston, we put it on the car.
And just showing you for a moment what's been marked exhibit number 16, ma'am. you recognize anything in that photograph?
That is the sticker, the CJB sticker, on the back of what looks like Amy's car.
And when you helped her put it on, was that in Boston or was that back home in Wilbraham?
It was in Wilbraham.
You said you had seen her most recently about a month prior to...
About a week or so, just week and a half before.
To July 23rd of 2013. And what were the circumstances that you saw her at that particular time?
We went on a family vacation to the Cape.
Okay. And what part of the Cape was that?
Wellfleet.
I showed you a photograph a few moments ago.
Yes.
And you said that was taken about a month prior. To your knowledge, did your daughter, in that time frame when you had last seen her, did she have any damage to any of her two front teeth?
No, she did not.
To your knowledge, had she ever had any damage to her two front teeth?
No.
The last conversation, could you tell us about the last conversation you had with your daughter, Amy, please?
I talked to her live on the phone on Sunday night, and then we were texting on Monday. When I talked to her on Sunday, after our family vacation, she had gone for a long weekend with her boyfriend and his family to Martha's Vineyard, so we talked about how her trip was there, and she was talking about the fact that she had recently joined a gym with a friend of hers from work, and they were going to go to a class. They were going to start to go to a couple classes early in the morning.
Okay, and by early in the morning, a class, are you talking about early in the morning of July 23rd?
Yes.
Okay. Back then, ma'am, did you know an individual by the name of John Grayson?
Yes.
And who was John Grayson?
John Grayson was one of the owners of Genuine Interactive. He was also one of Amy's bosses at the time, and I had known him for several years through work, business.
Did you used to work together?
We did.
Did you have any contact with John Grayson at some point in the morning of July 23rd, 2013?
Yes, he called me around 10:30 or 10:45 in the morning.
Okay.
He called my cell phone.
Without getting into the content, what was the tone of his voice?
Concerned.
Okay. And what was the subject matter of the call?
He called to let me know that they were concerned because Amy had not shown up at work yet, and that the girl that she was supposed to meet at the gym had come in and said that Amy had not gotten on the bus and not shown up at the gym.
Okay. Did he indicate to you whether the authorities, whether the police had been called regarding her not appearing at work or at the gym?
Yes, he told me that they had gone to her apartment to check to see that, and she was not there, and it appeared that her gym bag and her lunch bag were missing, and they had called the police to report her missing.
And Ms. Lord, where were you when you got this call?
I was at work.
Do you know where your husband Dennis was when you got the call?
He was at work.
And after you finished this conversation with Mr. Grayson, what was the next call that you made?
I called my husband.
And after you called your husband, were plans made to do something?
Yes, I called him and told him what was going on and that I would be there to pick him up.
And pick him up to go where?
To come to Boston.
And did you wind up picking up your husband, Dennis Lord?
Yes, I did.
And where did you go from there?
We went first we went directly to Amy's apartment.
Okay. You said that you lived in Wilbraham back then?
Yes.
Approximately how long is the commute from Wilbraham to Boston, Mass?
An hour and a half.
Okay. You had mentioned a while ago in response to a question that you would communicate from time to time almost daily electronically with your daughter?
Yes.
Would that be via text message?
It was via text message and also via email.
Did she own a cell phone back then?
She did.
Did you own a cell phone?
Yes.
And what efforts did you make to try and contact her on her cell phone as you were driving from Wilbraham to Boston, Mass? on the morning of July
I tried to
23rd?
call.
Let's
Sorry.
just finish my question. On the morning of July 23rd, 2013. We can't talk together because the court reporter is recording everything we say.
Sorry. I called her cell phone, and it went right to voicemail.
And did you make more than one attempt to call her?
I did. I also attempted to text her. I sent her a text message as well, a couple of them.
And were you successful in any attempts that you made to try and contact her?
No.
prior to that date, July 23rd, 2013, had you ever known her to be unresponsive or to shut her phone off?
No, never.
On the way to Boston, did you have any further contact with Mr. Grayson?
I did. We spoke a couple of times on the phone. He first let me know that they were in the process of calling any hospitals to see if she was there, and he also called to see if, he said that they couldn't find her car where she typically would park it, so he asked if I knew her license plate number or if I could contact our insurance company and give them permission to give him the license plate number because they were calling tow yards to see if it had been towed.
Did you provide him certain information about her plate? Did you provide him with certain information about her plate number?
I gave him the name and phone number of our insurance agent so that he could contact them and get the accurate plate number.
Did your daughter, Ms. Lord, did your daughter Amy have a bank account back then?
Yes, she did.
Do you know which bank the account was with?
Citizens?
Do you know if she had a Citizens Bank card for that account?
Yes, she did.
Had you seen it prior to July 23rd of 2013?
Yes, sir.
And if you know, where did she typically keep that Citizens Bank card?
In her wallet.
Do you know what kind of wallet she had back then?
It was just like a regular long.
As best you can, what was the texture of the wallet? Was it leather?
I think it was
vinyl?
I think it was like a leather or a fake leather, maybe. You know, I mean, looked like.
Do you remember what color it was?
She had one that she used frequently that was kind of a bright pink. I don't know if that's what she was using at the time, but I know that she had a pink one, and she had a kind of an aqua one, but I think the pink one was what she was using.
When did you arrive in Boston on July 23rd?
I think probably around 12:30 or so, maybe.
And where did you go directly?
We went to Amy's apartment and picked up my nephew, and he drove us, or took us to the South Boston Police Station.
Okay. Did you have any updated information about where her car might have been as of the time you were going to the South Boston Police Station?
Yes, when we were in transit, John Grayson called my phone back and said that they had found that Amy's car had been towed, but that the place that it had been towed to would not tell them where it had been towed from or why.
Okay. Fine. How much time did you spend at the station, ma'am?
Maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
And you didn't have any updated information on the condition of the car at that point?
No.
Do you know about what time in the day it was?
It was early afternoon. We went there right away, so I think it must have been maybe 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that.
Trustee Johnson, just very briefly, please.
Ms. Lord, where did you go? Where did you go after leaving the station, the police station in South Boston?
We went back to Amy's apartment.
Okay. And was that at 124 Dorchester Street?
Yes,
And what floor was she living on at the time?
3rd floor.
Did you wind up staying there for some period of time that afternoon?
We stayed there the rest of the day.
And did you wind up getting an updated piece of information regarding the condition of the car?
Yes.
And just relative to the condition of the car, what did you learn the condition was?
That it had been burned.
And what time did you learn that, approximately?
Probably about 2 o'clock.
Okay. At that point, fair to say that you still didn't have any update on Amy's location?
Correct.
Just generally, how many people were at the apartment besides yourself and Dennis?
There were about 30 or 40 people there.
Okay. Just yes or no, were you maintaining contact with your other two daughters, Kim and Carly?
Yes.
Were they in the apartment that afternoon?
They were en route to the apartment at that time.
And did you see them at some point later in the day?
Yes.
Do you recall where you were right around 7 p.m. that evening?
Yes.
And where was that?
We were in Amy's apartment.
And I just want to show you a sequence of photos, ma'am. If you could just look at these chronologically, Ms. Lord,
Yep.
Or sequentially,
Yes.
one at a time.
All right.
Do you recognize what's depicted in these 4 photographs?
Yes, it's Amy's bedroom.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate representation of how the bedroom area appeared generally on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
May these be marked as the next number of exhibits, Your Honor?
Yes.
Exhibits 37 through Exhibit 40, Your Honor.
At some point, did you have occasion after 7 p.m. to be in Amy's bedroom?
Yes.
And did you meet with anyone from the Boston Police Department while you were in the bedroom?
Yes.
How was it that you came to be in the bedroom? Were you already in there, or were you asked to go in there?
No, 2 detectives came to the door and asked if we would go into Amy's bedroom, just Dennis and I, to speak to us.
The 2 detectives who came to the door, did they introduce themselves?
Yes, one was Jamie Sheehan, and the other one was Jeff. I can't remember his last name.
And did they indicate which department they were from?
I think they did. I don't remember exactly. I know they said that they were detectives from Boston.
Okay. Did they indicate to you if they were from any type of specialized unit within the Boston Police Department?
Yes, I don't remember how they said it, but yes.
And what unit was that?
Homicide?
And the purpose that they wanted to speak to you in the bedroom was for what?
To let us know that they had found Amy and that she was gone.
Was it just the 4 of you in the room?
Yes.
And as far as your other 2 daughters, Kim and Carly, were they in the house at that time?
Yes, they were in the living room.
Was this information communicated to them, yes or no?
Yes,
And who communicated it to them?
I did.
The photo I showed you earlier, ma'am, exhibit number 15, I believe it was. I'm going to show you what's now been marked exhibit number 40, the photo you just looked at. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is this a picture of?
It's Amy's dresser in her bedroom.
And I'm just going to zoom in. And is that the same CJB sticker that's on the dresser bureau?
Yes, it is.
I just want to go back to exhibit number 15 for a moment. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
And just off to the left of exhibit number 15, do you see this? Do you see this item I'm pointing to right here?
Yes.
What are those?
Those are Amy's glasses.
Okay. And when you say glasses, are you talking about prescription glasses?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see those there in the bedroom when you were there on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
When she wasn't wearing prescription glasses, did she have to use anything to correct her vision?
Yes, she did. She had contacts. She needed to either be wearing her contacts or her glasses at all times.
In that particular photograph on the top of the bureau, do you see any jewelry there?
Yeah, it looks like I see a ring or earrings and either a necklace or it might be a headband on the right.
And not including or excluding anything that appears in exhibit number 15, did you know your daughter Amy to own any other articles of jewelry?
Yes.
And what other types of jewelry did you know her to own at the time?
I know that she had a necklace, a particular necklace. She also had a Cape Cod bracelet.
I want to show you a sequence of 5 photographs, Ms. Lord, and ask you to go through those sequentially, and just let me know when you're done. These 5 photographs, do you recognize what's depicted in each one of these individually?
Yes.
And what's depicted in these photographs?
Those, they're all pieces of Amy's jewelry that I know.
And are these pieces of jewelry that she owned back on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
And are they fair and accurate representations of the jewelry she owned back then?
Yes.
May these be marked as the next number to click, Your Honor?
Yes.
Exhibits 41 through 45, so marked, Your Honor.
These photographs that you looked at, these 5 different articles of jewelry, do you know where they are today?
I have all of them in my possession.
And how is it that after July 23rd, 2013, you came into receipt of them?
They were given back to me by the detectives.
Just starting with this particular item, it's been marked, this photograph's been marked exhibit number 44. Do you recognize that, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, and what do you recognize that to be?
The Cape Cod bracelet.
And exhibit number 45, do you recognize those articles?
Yes.
And what are those?
Those are diamond and gold earrings that Amy was given by her grandmother.
Do you recognize this item, exhibit number 42?
Yes, that's a small Pandora ring that was a birthday gift.
And second to last, exhibit number 43, do you recognize that ring?
It's a toe ring, yes.
Toe ring?
Yes.
And lastly, exhibit number 41, do you recognize this article?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
It's a angel's wing necklace that we gave Amy.
And by we, who are you talking about?
My husband and I gave it to her for her 23rd birthday.
That last piece, did you know her to wear that on a regular basis in the months, weeks, and days leading up to July 23rd of 2013?
Yes, she wore it every day.
Ms. Lord, I want to show you what's been marked exhibit number 19. Do you recognize the individual depicted in this particular photograph?
Yes,
And who do you recognize that to be?
it's Amy.
And if you'd be kind enough just to write her name, in the upper left-hand corner, right where I'm pointing, date it and put your initials, please. Today's date, Your Honor.
26.
Thank you,
26,
sir.
thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Lord, regarding this particular photograph, exhibit number 19, do you recognize anything that Amy's wearing in the photograph?
She's wearing the angel's wing necklace.
Now, I want to direct your attention to the photograph for a moment again.
Yes, sir.
I had asked you some questions a few moments ago about her teeth, if you were aware if she had any injuries to her teeth. In the weeks and days leading up to July 23rd of 2013, were you aware of whether or not she had any facial injuries, any trauma to her face?
She had none that I'm aware of.
Okay, you've had an opportunity to look at that particular photograph?
Yes.
And what injuries, if any, do you note on that particular photograph, exhibit number 19, ma'am?
It appears to me that her left eye is swollen and her left cheek and lip seem to be swollen.
And I want to show you a sequence of two additional photographs that have been marked exhibits 20 and 21. Ask you to take a look at those for a moment, Ms. Ward. And first, if you would, ask me a question about exhibit 19.
Yes, sir.
Do you see a vehicle in the background of your daughter
Yes.
in exhibit number 19?
Yes.
And do you recognize the vehicle?
Yes, it's Amy's car.
And what vehicle do you see in exhibits 20 and 21?
Her car.
And with respect to exhibit number 21, what vantage point is the car being photographed in that particular photograph?
It's the back side as it pulls away.
And what do you note, if anything, about the back side of your daughter's vehicle in exhibit number 21?
I can see the CJB sticker in the back corner of the window.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing this time. Amy's car, if you could mark Amy's car and date it today, May 26, 2015, and put your initials. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Lord, I'm going to show you another sequence of two photographs. These are two exhibits that have previously been marked, exhibits number 25 and 26. I just want you to look at these sequentially, if you would. And starting with exhibit number 25, Ms. Lord, do you recognize anyone in that photograph?
It's Amy.
And again, could you just, in the upper left-hand corner, write her name, today's date, and your initials? And again, with respect to this particular exhibit number 25, ma'am, do you note any injuries in this particular photograph to her facial area?
Yes, it appears the same, that her left eye is swollen and closed, her other eye's open.
And I'm going to direct your attention to what's been marked exhibit number 26, ma'am. Do you see a vehicle or a portion of a vehicle captured in exhibit number 26?
Yes,
Do you recognize the vehicle?
yes, as Amy's,
And could you just mark the exhibit number 26,
as Amy's car.
please? And what is it about the portion of the vehicle that's displayed in that particular exhibit that you recognize?
It's the back side again, and I can see the sticker, the reflection of the sticker.
You had said a few moments ago that she had joined a gym.
Yes,
Do you know if she owned any athletic apparel, workout clothes, sneakers, things of that nature?
yes.
What kind of sneakers did you know were owned?
She owned bright pink, I don't know the brand, I want to say Nike, but I'm not sure, but they were pretty bright. Pink
I want to show you
orange
this
or
sequence
orange.
of two photographs, Ms. Ford. Ask you to look at these sequentially and ask you if you recognize who's depicted in those two photographs.
Yes, it's Amy.
And starting with exhibit number 25, ma'am, excuse me, exhibit number 27, what do you recognize in that particular photograph?
I could see her pink sneakers.
And again, would you be kind enough just to mark the exhibit, Amy Lord, today's date, and your initials? And now showing you exhibit number 28, do you recognize who's depicted in that particular photograph, ma'am?
It's Amy.
Okay, and what do you recognize about that particular photograph?
I can see her wing, her angel's wing.
And do you see her face as
I
well?
do, it looks bruised.
Okay, and if you could again make the same marking on that particular exhibit number 28, Ms. Ford. So just showing you for a moment exhibit number 27.
Yes.
The bright colored sneakers you were referring to are depicted in the exhibit right at the
Yes, sir,
bottom.
yes.
And with respect to exhibit number 28, Mrs. Ward, you see your daughter right there.
I do.
The next sequence of two photographs I want to show you have been marked exhibits 30 and 31. I'd ask you to take a look at those, Mrs. Lord. Do you recognize who's depicted in those two photographs?
Yes, they're both Amy.
And I'd ask you to do the same thing with respect to exhibits 30 and 31. And just displaying for a moment exhibit number 30. You just, the individual you recognized as your daughter, Amy Ward.
Yes.
Do you see in the backdrop of that photograph, outside beyond the glass doors, do you see a vehicle there, ma'am?
I see her car.
I want to show you this last photograph that has not been introduced as an exhibit in this trial yet, and ask you to take a look at it, ma'am. Mrs. Lord, let me know when you're done.
Okay.
Do you recognize anyone in this particular photograph?
I recognize Amy.
And is that a fair and accurate representation generally of how she looked back in July 23rd of 2013?
Yes.
Do you recognize anything that she's wearing in that particular photograph?
Her angel swing necklace.
May this be marked as the next numbered exhibit, Your Honor.
Yes.
Exhibit 46 on marked, Your Honor.
And with respect to Exhibit 46, in the upper left-hand corner, would you be kind enough, Mrs. Lord, to again mark that exhibit consistently with the way you've done the others? Relative to Exhibit number 46, can you tell if there's a vehicle depicted in this photograph?
Yes, Amy's car.
Viewing what's now been marked Exhibit number 46, Mrs. Lord, how many people total did you see in that particular photograph?
2.
And the second individual, where does he appear in relation to your daughter, Amy Lord?
He's the driver.
And what portion of the driver's face are you able to see as you viewed Exhibit number 46, ma'am?
Only his eye. One eye, his eyes.
Okay. And what about generally this area from the bridge of the nose down?
It's not visible. It's covered.
Mrs. Lord, after you met with the homicide detectives at 124A Dorchester Street on the night of July 23rd, 2013, how much more time did you spend in Amy's apartment?
Maybe an hour, no more than 2.
And do you recall where you went from there?
We stayed in Boston at a hotel overnight,
You and your husband?
and my children, my other 2 girls, we stayed at a Marriott in Boston.
And did you wind up returning to Wilbraham on the following day at some point?
At some point, yes.
So one moment. One last photograph I want to show you. It's been marked Exhibit number 17. And directing your attention to the middle to upper right portion of the exhibit. Do you see a vehicle there, ma'am?
I see Amy's car.
Okay. And when you say you see Amy's car, what is it about that vehicle that you recognize, ma'am?
I can see the sticker in the window in the back.
Okay. And what about generally the color of the vehicle?
I would say, and it's black, and it appears to be a Jeep.
Is it consistent in size, color, and shape with Amy's vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And the sticker on the lower left-hand corner?
Yes, sir.
Relative to exhibit number 17 that I just showed you, Mrs. Lord, fair to say that you don't know where that particular photograph was taken?
No.
too.
Sorry. No, yeah.
Okay, now, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
That's right.
Chief McCabe?
Right this way, please. Stand here, face the clerk, and raise your right hand.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give the jury in the court and the cause now hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir.
This way, please.
You want to just watch us up here, speak clearly into the microphone, please.
May I call, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the court and to the jury and spell your first and last name?
My name is James McCabe, James McCabe.
Excuse me, can I just get this a little bit closer?
Yes.
And what do you, Mr. McCabe, what do you do for a living?
I'm an EMT for the city of Boston.
You work for Boston EMS?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been working for Boston EMS?
9.5 years.
Did you work for anyone in the field in your profession prior to Boston EMS?
Yes, I worked in the city of Cambridge for Pro EMS.
Pro
for 2 years
EMS.
prior.
How many years?
2 years prior, sir.
Fair to say 11 and a half years total?
Yes, sir.
And your current position with Boston EMS is what?
An EMT, sir.
EMT. Did you have to undergo any training to become an EMT?
Yes, sir.
When did you have that training, sir?
To get my state certification would have been in 2003.
Okay. And where did you take that course or that
Northeastern.
training?
Northeastern, sir.
Did you graduate?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to pass a written exam?
Yes, sir.
And
We would stipulate
Thank you, Stan.
directing your attention to July 23rd of 2013, a Tuesday. Mr. McCabe, were you working on that day?
Yes, sir.
Were you assigned to a particular geographic area in the city?
Rosendale, sir.
And on that particular day, what shift were you working?
The evening shift started at 4 p.m. and ends at midnight.
Was there a particular area that you reported to prior to the start of your shift?
Yes, to River Street, our River Street facility in Mattapan is where we pick up the ambulance, park there, and then we'd go out from there to our district, which is Rosendale.
And you say we plural. Were you working with a partner that day?
Yes, sir.
Who was that person?
His name is Dennis Murphy.
Directing your attention to right around 4 in the afternoon, or just after 4 p.m. in the afternoon on that date, Mr. McCabe, did you receive a call at that time?
Yes, sir.
And what was the nature of the call?
I think it was for an EMS investigation, sir.
Okay. And what does that mean in your profession, EMS investigation? Is that like a general call?
Yes, sir. It's a kind of a catch-all. They have a system, the computer automated system. When you call 911, they have certain categories. If it's a cardiac, someone says they have chest pain. If it's a respiratory issue, it's someone's having trouble breathing. But if they're not sure where to classify it, it comes in as an EMS request or an unknown EMS.
Where were you asked to go to?
The Enneking Parkway. I think we had trouble, if I remember correctly, we had trouble with the address. The gentleman caller, the gentleman who called 911, excuse me, had trouble giving his exact location.
Did you head to that general location?
Yes, I did, sir.
Were you generally familiar with the area?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall what time you were dispatched there at?
I do not, sir.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
showing you this document, sir. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do, sir.
And what do you recognize that to be?
It's called a run report from one of our calls.
Okay. And this run report that I placed in front of you, is that relative to the call that I just asked you about on July 23rd of 2013, right around 4 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Your run report, does it include things such as the time you were dispatched, time you arrived, time you were at the patient, and the time you left the scene?
Yes, sir.
May this be marked just for identification purposes, Your Honor?
H for identification, so marked, Your Honor.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may the witness refer to his run report?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. McCabe, what time were you dispatched to the Enneking area on July 23rd of 2013?
16:05, which is 4:05 p.m.
4:05 p.m. And what time did you get there?
16:12.
Okay. And when you say 1612, what area what area did you arrive at?
We arrived at the entrance to the Stony Brook Reservation off Enneking, across, like diagonally across from the softball field.
Did you meet someone there?
Yes, sir.
Who did you meet?
The caller.
Do you remember his name?
I do not, sir.
When you say the caller, older gentleman?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. McCabe, just showing you briefly for a moment what's been marked exhibit number 33. Can you see that okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize any of the areas captured on exhibit number 33, sir?
I do.
And I want to direct your attention to the left-hand side of exhibit number 33. Do you recognize that area?
I do, sir.
And Mr. McCabe, please tell the jury what area you recognize on the left-hand side of exhibit number 33.
That would be, if I know correctly, that is the Enneking Parkway. It's referred to as the Enneking Parkway right there, and that is the baseball field or softball field that I referenced. And the lower left would be the cutout areas. That's the entrance to the Stony Brook.
Will you see these two vehicles right here pointing in?
Yes, sir.
And is that where you parked the ambulance, or where the ambulance parked on July 23rd of 2013?
It was, sir.
When you arrived, were there any other vehicles in the parking lot area? If you recall.
I don't recall, sir.
How big was that parking lot area?
It's small.
Okay. How many people did you meet there?
One.
And how long, you were dispatched at 16:05. It took you about 7 minutes to get there.
Yes, sir.
Did you have some difficulty finding the location?
Yes, if I remember correctly, we were originally given a different location, but from the comments in the call, I figured it to be that area, and I was correct. There was a gentleman who met us who was waving us down. I think, if I remember correctly, we were originally given the opposite side, more towards Hyde Park.
And Mr. McCabe, did you, just yes or no, did you have some conversation with the gentleman who you met in the parking lot?
Oh, yes, sir.
Did you wait for any type of police response at that location?
No, sir.
Did you go with him somewhere?
Yes, sir.
And just where did you wind up going with him? First of all, did you wind up going into the Stony Brook Reservation?
Yes, sir.
Before you went in, did you go to your truck to take anything with you?
Yes, sir.
And what did you wind up taking with you?
The stretcher, what we refer to as the green bag, which contains oxygen and other medical supplies, and a defibrillator.
And Mr. McCabe, generally, do you recall the route that you took into the Stony Brook Reservation?
Yes, I do, sir.
And just describe to the jury the route you took.
So that entrance where we parked is if I remember correctly, it's a paved path at first. Went up, and there was a bit of it. We went off to the right, and there's an incline, and then there's a path off the right from that path, and that's where the body was.
And just walking through, you recognize exhibit number, showing you what's been marked exhibit number 34, this photograph on the top right?
Yes, sir.
What do you see there?
That's the entrance we went through.
And sequentially, if you were just to go clockwise, finishing in the center, does that depict the paved path that you just described for the jury?
Yes, sir.
From the paved path, did you go to an unpaved area?
Yes, sir.
And just showing you what's been marked exhibit number 35 in this case, sir. Again, starting sequentially in the top right corner, going clockwise till you wind up in the middle photograph. Is that the route you followed on July 23rd of 2013?
Yes, sir.
In the bottom right photograph, do you see what looks like an unpaved path?
Yes, sir.
Did you go down the unpaved path?
Yes, sir.
Were you with your partner?
Yes, sir.
And that was Mr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
The gentleman who you met at the entranceway, at the point you started going down the unpaved path, was he still with you?
If I remember correctly, I asked him to stay there and wait for the officers that were en route, because it was difficult to find the location, and that being that he was there already, that he could help assist us getting the officers to that location.
Did he give you directions or a description of where to go?
Yes.
Can you follow those?
Yes, sir.
As you came down, as you were on the path, both from the paved to the unpaved, did you see any people out there?
No, sir.
And as you came down the unpaved path, you see the middle photograph here on exhibit number 35, sir. You see how it kind of bends to the right a little bit?
Yes, sir.
In, at least as it's marked at this particular exhibit, do you see what appears to be a blue canopy there?
I'm sorry, I can't see it from here, sir.
Set down to the first position you're on.
Yeah.
Directing your attention. When you arrived on July 23rd, 2013, was that canopy there?
No, sir.
And as you came around that bend to at least where it's depicted now on exhibit number 35, did you see something? Did you see something there on that particular date, sir, in the area where the blue canopy is now?
Yes, sir.
And describe for the jurors, what is it that you saw?
So, a woman's body, mid to late 20s, supine, laying flat on her back, with her legs looked like they were tangled, crossed each other, and one sneaker off that was towards me, near her head, with flies, and looked to be insects flying around her body.
Fair to say that you were pretty deep into the path?
Yes, sir.
Was it a woodsy area?
Yes, sir.
What was the weather like that day, sir?
It was very muggy, and during our time out there, it rained.
How hard?
Pretty hard, if I remember correctly.
Okay. The woman's body that you saw on the path there, did you continue to go closer after you made the first observation, after you first noted her there?
Yes, sir.
And how close did you get to her, sir?
I would estimate about 5 feet away, and then I stopped.
Okay. Did you make any attempts to communicate with her?
No, sir.
Okay. And you said you stopped. You had some emergency equipment with you?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever use your emergency equipment?
No, sir.
Any attempts at any point at treatment, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. And why is that? What is it that you saw that led you to the decision not to attempt to communicate or attempt any treatment?
What I saw was injuries that were incompatible with life. Multiple stab wounds to her torso. Her eyes were wide open, and the insects flying around her.
No respiratory
No
indications of
respiratory
any?
effort whatsoever, no rise and fall of the chest.
And was there anything else that you needed to do to assess this woman that you saw on the path on the afternoon of July 23rd, 2013?
In my opinion, no.
Okay.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, in my opinion, no, sir.
Mr. McCabe, did you move her at all?
I did not.
Did you go within that 5-foot area that you just described to the jury?
I did not.
And the trip sheet that was marked for identification purposes, is there an indication on the trip sheet if you made any type of declaration?
Yes, sir.
And the declaration indicates what, sir?
1618.
Okay. That's all I have for the witness, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I have nothing.
Thank you, Mr. McCabe.
Sergeant Daniel McDonald.
All right, this way, please. Stand here, face the front and raise your right hand.
Should you solemnly swear the testimony about to give the jury and the court in the cause now hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
This way, please. Well, just watch yourself. Speak clearly into the mic.
Any firearm?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the court and to the jury and spell your first and last name, please?
Sure, Sergeant Daniel F. McDonald, D-A-N-I-E-L, middle initial F, M-A-C-D-O-N-A-L-D.
How long have you been working for the Boston Police Department for?
25 years,
And your current rank is that of sergeant?
correct.
Sergeant McDonald, how long have you been a sergeant for?
Just under 5 years,
And prior to that, what rank did you hold?
detective,
For how many years?
approximately 10 years.
And prior to that, you were patrol officer
Yes,
for about 10 years?
yes.
What district are you currently assigned to, Sergeant McDonald?
District 18, which covers Hyde Park,
How long have you been assigned to that district?
about 3.5 years.
Would that have included the time frame of July 23rd of 2013?
Yes, it would.
I want to direct your attention to that particular date, sir. Were you working on July 23rd?
I was.
Do you remember what shift were you working on that particular date?
I was working from 3 o'clock to 11,
3 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
10:45.
And on that particular date, Sergeant McDonald, did you have any specific assignment?
Yes,
Who was that?
patrol supervisor,
And what is the patrol supervisor responsible for?
supervising the patrol force on the street.
And were you the only patrol supervisor, or was there someone working with you in that capacity on that date? in
On that
District
date,
18?
there was 2 of us,
Who was the other one?
Sergeant George Civillo.
A little bit around after 4 o'clock, or right around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, did you receive a phone call from Sergeant George Cervillo?
I met up with George Civillo in the station.
Okay. Prior to that, did you hear a radio broadcast?
I didn't, but he informed me that there was a broadcast.
Okay. And did you wind up meeting Sergeant Cervillo in a particular section of Hyde Park on July 23rd, 2013, after you received a phone call?
I got in the car in the parking lot with Sergeant Civillo, and we drove to a location in Hyde Park.
You were at the station, and where is that located in Hyde Park?
1249 Hyde Park Ave in Clary Square.
Are you familiar with the Stony Brook Reservation?
I am,
And are you familiar with generally the Enneking Parkway?
yes.
How would you get to the Stony Brook Reservation on Enneking Parkway from District 18 in Hyde Park?
Right as you pull away from the station, you take an immediate right onto River Street.
Okay.
You go up,
The station itself is on Hyde Park Avenue.
yes,
Take your first right onto River Street.
yes,
And would that require you to go up and over a commuter rail bridge?
yes.
And where do you go just after you go over the commuter rail bridge?
You take an immediate right onto Gordon Ave,
Is there a set of traffic lights at Gordon Ave and River Street?
yes.
And where do you follow Gordon Avenue to?
All the way to Enneking Parkway. You can take a left onto Enneking Parkway.
I want to show you what's been marked exhibit number 33 in this case. Do you recognize the left-hand side of exhibit number 33?
I do.
And what do you see there, sir?
Enneking Parkway, the baseball field.
And just generally, the area of Gordon Avenue, would that be at the top end of
It would.
the left side of this photograph?
Yes.
Did you have a police car with you that day?
Yes,
A
we
marked
did.
vehicle?
A marked vehicle, yes.
And how long, just roughly, how long did it take you to get from the station, not from the station, but that area you described, Hyde Park and River Street, where you turn right onto River Street, how long did it take you to get from there to the point where you stopped your vehicle?
3/4 of a mile, approximately I'm guessing 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. Were there
the most.
any other emergency type vehicles there?
Yes, there was an ambulance there.
When we say there was an ambulance there, I want to direct your attention to exhibit number 33 again. Do you see this little parking lot area here, sir?
Yes,
Is that where you parked?
yes,
And is that where the ambulance was?
correct.
Did you meet a civilian there?
In the parking lot, no.
Okay. At some point, did you meet a civilian?
Yes.
What was that person's name?
Edwin Landry,
And where did you meet Mr. Edward Landry?
on Stony Brook Path and Bold Knob Path, where they intersect.
You said there was an ambulance parked in the lot there. Was there anyone tending to the ambulance?
Yes, one of the ambulance crew was there.
One ambulance crew member?
Yes.
You went with Sergeant Cervillo where, sir?
We were directed by the ambulance crew onto Stony Brook Path to the right. We followed that up about 1/10 of a mile to Bold Knob Path.
Okay. And did you wind up going down Bold Knob Path with Sergeant Cervillo?
I stopped and spoke with Mr. Landry first.
Okay. Did he go down Bold Knob Path with you?
No, he stayed there.
And we say he stayed there, you're talking about on the paved area?
Yes.
Just in terms of time, how long did your conversation last with Mr. Landry?
Very short.
And what was his demeanor like?
He was shaken up.
After speaking with him, did you wind up going with Sergeant Cervillo down Bold Knob Path?
I did.
I want to show you what's been marked exhibit number 35, Sergeant. Do you recognize the areas that are depicted in those 5 photographs?
Yes.
And what do you see there?
It looks like Bold Knob Path is as you're heading down from Stony Brook Path.
Did you meet a second person from Boston EMS after you had arrived at the Stony Brook Reservation?
I did.
And was that person in the area of Bold Knob Path?
Yes.
So how many people total went down Bold Knob Path with you?
Just myself and Sergeant Cervillo. We met up with the EMS worker.
Okay. As you came down Bold Knob Path, at some point, did you note something or someone?
Yes.
And what is it that you saw, sir?
I saw the EMT, the second EMT there, and I saw a body on the ground.
That particular date, July 23rd, 2013, leading up to the time frame of 4 o'clock in the afternoon, what were the weather conditions like that day?
It was a downpour earlier in the day, and then it cleared up. And then later on, after that, there was another downpour, and then it cleared up again.
Okay. Did you wind up staying in the area of the body after you arrived?
I did.
Okay. Did you have a police radio with you that day?
I did.
Did you use it?
Yes.
Before using it, did you make any observations of the person who was on the path
Yes.
with any signs of injury that you noted?
Yes.
And what were those?
Several stab wounds.
In what part of the body?
The chest, the stomach, and pelvic area.
Okay. Did you see any blood?
I did not.
Was there any type of perimeter established, at least at that particular time, shortly after you arrived?
Yes, we cordoned off the path. Made
Up
sure nobody-
until, not after you arrived, up until that point had a perimeter been
No.
established? Okay. Did you wind up helping to do that?
Yes.
Before you did that, did you use your radio to make any type of communications to anybody in the Boston Police Department?
Yes, we notified operations and confirmed what the radio call they dispatched us for.
Okay. Were you requesting some assistance on Bold Knot Path?
Yes.
And what type of assistance, Sergeant McDonald, were you requesting at that particular time?
To make full notifications and to have other units come down to help secure the scene.
Okay. And when you say to make full notifications, that's a police term?
Yes.
Can you explain for the jury in lay terminology, what does that mean?
Means to notify the homicide unit, the crime scene response unit to come down.
Okay. Identification unit?
Yes.
At this point now, you're looking to establish a perimeter?
Yes.
And were you one of the individuals, just referencing exhibit number 35 for a moment, Sergeant McDonald, that set up this tape at the front of Bold Knot Path?
I believe I was there when that was done.
From the time you arrived, you've accounted for yourself, Sergeant Cervillo, 2 people from Boston EMS, and a Mr. Landry.
Yes.
5 people total. Did you see anyone else in the area of Bold Knot Path, sir, outside of the female that you saw?
I did not.
How long did it take for other emergency units to start responding to the Stony Brook Reservation on that particular date, sir?
I'm not sure exactly, but it was pretty fast.
Okay. Did you speak to anyone else besides Mr. Landry?
I spoke to a state trooper investigator that arrived on scene.
Okay. After you arrived, it was determined that Boston Police would retain jurisdiction.
That's correct.
As far as you know, based on the years that you've been a sergeant, on the Boston Police Department assigned to District 18, who maintains the Stony Brook Reservation? Who has jurisdiction over it?
The state police.
Okay. You said you spoke with Mr. Landry. Did you stay on scene there for a number of hours, sir?
I did.
And would that include the time frame from that included when representatives from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner arrived?
Yes.
Did you take any steps to control or coordinate traffic on the Enneking Parkway in between Gordon Ave and the 4-way stop sign intersection up the road?
Yes, it was shut down except for emergency personnel only.
The whole road was shut down.
Yes.
And as far as the scene itself, sir, fair to say that you did not assume any responsibility, or you weren't charged with collecting any evidence of the scene?
No.
Or interviewing any witnesses?
No.
And that was the extent of your involvement on July 23rd of 2013?
Just maintaining that there was an officer at each end of the path.
When you say each end of the path, are you talking about Bold Knot Path?
Correct.
So just showing you again, or referencing exhibit number 35, the lower right-hand photograph would be the start of Bold Knot Path.
Yes.
And if you follow Bold Knot Path all the way to the end, sir, where does that take you?
Right out to Enneking Parkway.
And you stationed an officer at that point as well?
Yes.
To make sure no one came in or out?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have. Sorry.
No questions at this point. Please, Sergeant.
Your Honor, may I ask the witness to spell Sergeant Cervillo's name?
First name is George, George. Last name is Cervillo, Survillo.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Jane Sheehan.
Before Detective Sheehan testifies, we'll take that mid-morning break at this point.
All rise, jurors, please leave your notes on your chairs. Step down, swift into recess.
Yes. Please have a seat.
Court to inspection, please be seated.
We reached the point of the time, Your Honor, for the next witness. We anticipate playing the crime scene video, which we had previously filed a motion to eliminate on. I can say this, Your Honor, I believe the totality of the video is, check my notes, so. I believe the totality of the video is 43 minutes, Your Honor, and the score is depicted for 2 minutes and 20 seconds on that video. And that portion where she was depicted, we edited it down so that she would not be depicted beyond the 2 minutes and 20 seconds, Your Honor.
Do you wish to be heard, Mr. Denner? I'll give an appropriate instruction, Mr. Denner, as to the use of the video.
That was the only thing I asked. Also, Your Honor, could we come to the sidebar?
Yes.
Court, all rise. Court stands in recess.